Hey everyone, Cobalt Blue is here with episode 5 of Cosmic Clash, with our matchup today being Vox from Hazbin Hotel versus Victim/Hacker from Animator vs Animation. I decided to compare these two characters as both own large corporate companies, both use very advanced technology, and both have been tricked by their red counterparts. It's also very fitting that I'm doing this matchup now, given the fact that Animator vs Animation episode 13 recently dropped by the time I'm making this video, so it's kinda the perfect time to do this popular matchup between the two. So now, let's hop into analyzing their feats, starting off with Vox. Starting off with Vox's low ends. Due to being a overlord on the Hell hierarchy tier, he would just upscale all the lower classes feats, like Millie, who survived a small explosion with this feat being calculated to wall level, or how the ep5 trio survived the Lulu land explosion with this feat being calculated to large building level. He would also upscale Sir Pentious, who can survive explosions, from Alistair, with these explosions getting calculated to multi-city block level. Now, getting into Vox's own feats, he was able to cause a power outage throughout all of Hell just by getting angry with this feat, ranging around large town to city level. Now, for one of Vox's best feats, the other overlords were able to use their energy to contain the explosion from the Might of Lilith, with this explosion getting calculated to country level. And I know you may be wondering, Vox didn't help, so he shouldn't scale to it, but Vox should, since even though he didn't use his energy to help contain the blast, he would at least just scale to the other overlords who helped contain the blast, since at the end of Season 2 in his stronger form he became one of the strongest overlords, if not the strongest overlords in Hell. So scaling to it isn't that far-fetched, but you can get this feat higher due to a statement by Vivzapop in an interview with Polygon, where she described Heaven and Hell as planets to even universes, and since the Might of Lilith could destroy the shield that surrounded all of Heaven, it would put Vox and the Might of Lilith anywhere from planetary to universal. But in my opinion, Vox scaling to universal is definitely a bit of a stretch in my opinion. But Vox being planetary is a little more consistent due to the fact that he should scale somewhat relative to Stolas, who could survive an exploding moon with that feat being calculated to planet level. And before you say he shouldn't scale to Stolas since he is a tier above Vox, it was stated by Vizapop that if Alistair and Stolas were to fight, it would be close, with Stolas barely winning, and due to the fact that Vox should be relative to Alistair by extension, he should be at least somewhat relative to Stolas, plus Stolas is only one tier above Vox, so the power gap isn't even that big. Now for speed, again, due to upscaling the lower class beings in Hell, he would upscale characters like Millie, who can dodge and react to gun bullets at subsonic speeds. He should scale to his pet shark Shockwave, who can move at supersonic speeds, and Robo Fizz, who can dodge multiple rounds of sniper bullets, with it being calculated to high hypersonic. Now for Vox's own speed feat, he can move as a lightning bolt, putting him at massively hypersonic speed, but you can still get him a bit higher due to scaling to Stolas, who has a flight of speed faster than light due to outpacing exploding a star. But if you don't agree with Vox scaling to Stolas, he would scale to Alistair, who can dodge strikes from Adam's guitar axe, which was made out of pure angelic light, also putting him at those FTL ranges of speed. Now for Vox's abilities, he has electricity manipulation, flight, conjure, metal manipulation, mind manipulation, memory manipulation, technology manipulation, hacking, holograms, regeneration, immortality, non-physical interaction, voice mimicry, transformation, force field creation, vibration manipulation, intangibility, and soul manipulation. Now for Vox's weaknesses, he is a man-child, often throwing tantrums. He can sometimes be irrational when fighting and impulsive. He is vulnerable to angelic weapons, causing him to permanently die when being attacked by one, and despite having all this control over technology, and he can still be hacked, like when Baxter got into Vox's systems and muted him. And lastly, when Vox loses his public recognition, it causes him to lose his power, becoming weaker. Now moving on to Victim in his base form, he should scale to the Stick Gang like the Second Coming, who could split open a wall, and Green could survive the center of a blast from the YouTube explosion, which was calculated to small building level. Now, after Victim renamed to Hacker, he definitely became one of the strongest characters in his verse, upscaling King Orange with the command block, who could toss the Ender Dragon into next week, with that feat being calculated to small city level. Due to Hacker being able to fight relative and on par with the Dark Lord, he should scale to some of his feats, like upscaling Herobrine, who can break Bedrock, and Bedrock should scale to a command block, as both are blocks that are indestructible in mass, with the durability of a command block being calculated to moon level. And since Herobrine can causally break multiple pieces of bedrock, it could put him at around planet level. but due to both blocks being indestructible and having infinite mass, it could put the feat at high universal. And you can make a case that since Hacker can fight on par with the Dark Lord, he could scale to King Orange, since it was stated by Alan Becker if the Dark Lord and King Orange were to fight, it would be close or damn near equal, and King Orange destroyed the whole Minecraft cosmology. So the Minecraft cosmology in the Alan Becker verse consists of the overworld, which is stated to be a universe infinite in size, and King Orange could destroy multiple portals leading to different overworlds, and King Orange also destroyed the Nether, and given the fact that each overworld should have an end dimension as well, that could put the feat all the way up to low multiversal. Now for speed again, due to scaling to the Stick Gang in his base form, he should scale to characters like the Second Coming in red, who reacted to a skeleton that flew around the Minecraft world in seconds, with this feat being calculated to massively hypersonic. Yellow can react two lasers, putting him at faster than light, and he could catch Cubert falling from space, with this feat being calculated to massively faster than light. But you can get him higher in speed as the Second Coming, and King Orange with the Minecraft icon was able to move inside an expanding black hole, which, keep in mind, this black hole consumed the infinite size dimensions in Minecraft. And King Orange and the Second Coming could easily move inside of it, and the Second Coming was able to outpace, putting them at infinite speed, and due to Hacker scaling to King Orange and the Second Coming with the Minecraft icon, that could also put him at infinite speed. Now for Hacker's abilities: information manipulation, hacking, data manipulation, technology manipulation, flight, telekinesis, energy projections, electricity manipulation, light manipulation, information analysis, duplication, weapon creation, size manipulation, power nullification, power modification, attack reflection, telepathy, mind manipulation, memory manipulation, existence erasure. He is also shown having the same toolkit as Agent Smith, which would grant him the abilities of time stop, telescope, vision, conjure, and force field creation. Now for Victim's weaknesses: when using too much power, it causes him to temporarily lose them. He can also be a little reckless when using his powers, and impulsive. Now that I analyzed the two, it's time to see who would win in a Cosmic Clash. 3, 2, 1, go! It's a regular afternoon in V-Tower, with Vox sitting on his chair viewing his monitor to see what's happening on TV, while watching a commercial pops up asking the viewer if they need anything fixed. Head on down to Rocket Co. But the thing that grabs Vox's attention is that throughout the commercial he sees sentient stick figures, and he sees a gray one that looks like the boss.
The hell? Are these stick figures alive? I gotta check this out for myself.
After doing research and watching videos online, he learned more about the stick figures and found out there's a whole city of them. So just like how Vox was almost able to control all of hell, he wants to control all the stick figures. So the way he would actually get there is he paid 3 imps to steal a grimoire from an Ars Goetia, in which Vox would use to summon a portal to the outer net, leading him to Rocket Co. After busting inside the building, he came face to face with Victim, the boss of Rocket Co.
So you must be the boss of this place. I'm Vox. You really don't speak much, do you? Whatever, just want to give you a quick heads up. I'm taking over your company and this little city of yours.
Fight!
After Vox said that, Victim got into a formation and went to punch Vox, who dodged the attack and turned into a lightning bolt, striking Victim multiple times. After that, Victim took out his paintbrush tool to draw 3 clones of himself and armed those 3 clones with a sword, lasso, and hammer. Vox was able to dodge a few of their attacks, but got hit and took some damage from the attacks he couldn't dodge, so Vox sent electricity current throughout the ground, shocking all the clones, killing them. But Victim ran up to him with the katana, slicing Vox's hand, which was able to regenerate it, so Vox shot a lightning bolt at Victim, but he drew a wall in front of him to block the attack. So Vox decided to summon metal tentacles behind Victim, wrapping around him and slamming him into a wall, then shot more lightning bolts, shocking Victim. So after that, Victim grabbed one of the Rocket Co. flying vehicles and flew away from Vox, who followed him throughout the area. But Vox shot a lightning bolt at the vehicle, knocking it down on the grass, and Vox used his tentacles to wrap Victim up again. Then Vox covered his hand in electricity, about to go for the finishing blow, until Victim's body started to glow in electricity, and a light blue aura covered him. That's when he transformed into Hacker. After Hacker broke free of Vox's grasp and punching him rapidly, and used his telekinesis to throw Vox onto the side of cliff, and shot many energy projectiles toward Vox, but he barely dodged them, so he transformed into a bolt of lightning, striking Hacker, but he blocked the attack. Then Vox went to go summon his tentacles again, but Hacker teleported in front of Vox, deactivating his tentacle powers. But now, since Hacker was up close to him, Vox took advantage of the situation to use his mind control powers, which briefly stunned Hacker, but I didn't have much of an effect on him, so he punched Vox, backing him up, and took the time to analyze Vox and all his powers. Since Vox had just about enough of this fight, he used the Grimoire to open a portal which Shockwave was behind, and Vox sent Shockwave to go attack Hacker. So after that, Hacker was fighting a 2-on-1, getting attacked by Shockwave and Vox, with both these two gaining the upper hand on Hacker, so Hacker had to put in more work using more of his energy to try to hold both of them off. So he summoned 2 clones of himself to deal with Shockwave and Vox, while Hacker had to power down briefly due to the amount of energy he was putting him, but he didn't get the chance to rest long as Vox struck Hacker again as a lightning bolt. While Shockwave killed the 2 clones, Vox started to mock Hacker.
Wow, and here I thought I could jump my opponent with backup. Turns out you're worse than me.
After that, Hacker was able to gain more of his energy back, punching Vox and using his telekinesis to rip Shockwave apart, turning it into nothing but piles of metal scrap. Then Hacker started to blitz Vox, attacking him multiple times in just a second, which pissed off Vox, so he opened a portal leading back to hell and grabbing Hacker, taking him with him, and they crashed into the side of V Tower. So after the smoke cleared, we see Vox's shadow, and he started transforming into his full demon form. After that, Vox launched toward Hacker, grabbing him and slamming him into the side of a building. Then he transformed into a lightning bolt, striking Hacker, then grabbed Hacker and started to slide his face across a building, then threw him into a road and sent another electric current throughout the ground, shocking him. Then Vox threw a lightning bolt at him, but Hacker deflected the attack back at Vox, shocking him, then flew to Vox to rapidly punch him, then shot some energy projectiles at Vox, but he summoned a force field to block it, so Hacker summoned a lasso around Vox, throwing him back at V Tower. Then he summoned multiple large ninja stars and swords at Vox, damaging him even more. Then Hacker took a short break to regain his energy, and that's when under the ground a hole started to open, and the Might of Lilith came out. The hole aimed directly at Hacker. After that, Vox used the Might of Lilith, shooting laser beams at Hacker, which he flew away from, dodging all of the beams, and it's clear that Vox lost his mind, shooting rapidly with the machine starting to overheat, and Hacker could notice it as he was analyzing it while dodging the beams. So as soon as Vox shot one final beam at Hacker, he just barely dodged it, but the machine started to overheat even further and was about to explode. So as soon as Vox was about to turn into a lightning bolt and leave Hacker shut off his powers before he could do so, then the machine began to explode, to engulfing both characters in the blast. And when the ashes and dust started to clear after the blast, a light blue force field was covering Hacker from the blast, and he was left standing victorious as Vox's ashes flew away. KO! Well, that was an insane fight, so now lastly let me explain why Hacker won by breaking this fight up into 3 categories: offense, defense, and abilities. Starting off with offense, Vox had the advantage in this category as he's shown to be a pretty aggressive fighter, often fighting up close and personal with his lightning powers and as a lightning bolt. Now sure, Hacker can fight up close and personal too, but he doesn't rely on it that much when fighting due to him quickly getting tired or losing lots of energy that way, while Vox is just great at fighting up close. Even his full demon form amplifies this as he fights even more up close and personal and relies more on his combat abilities. But even when Hacker loses his powers and reverts back to base form while he recharges, he still has pretty good combat capability, being skilled in martial arts, but it isn't gonna do much as he only fights up close in his base form, with his base form only being around small building level due to scaling to the stick gang in their base form, while Vox, without any of his country or planetary level showings, can easily reach town level, heck the lowest tier of the hell hierarchy. The imps and hellhounds can reach those building to large level showings, and Vox would easily upscale them, meaning he would have no problem beating Victim to. So overall, Vox takes the point in offense. Now for defense, Hacker has a bigger advantage since he's shown doing better when fighting defensively, so deflecting attacks or summoning clones to do the fighting, while Vox rarely fights defensively, as the only times he really fights on defense if he has someone helping him or by just spamming the Might of Lilith, which does have some drawbacks as when using the Might of Lilith too much it overheats and explodes. Plus with the many projectiles and energy shields Hacker has, he could fight defensively all he wants, so overall defense goes to Hacker. Now, lastly, their abilities with both of their many powers, which ones could tip the scale of the fight. Now, Vox does have some pretty good abilities like his electricity manipulation and demon transformation, amplifying all his physical stats and powers, but Hacker's abilities are just way more broken. Starting off, his ability to deactivate and activate his opponent's powers is crazy broken, meaning he could just turn off all of Vox's abilities. Plus, he can stop time, meaning he could just pause Vox or Shockwave or the Might of Lilith with the pause button. And speaking of Shockwave and the Might of Lilith, he could also just hack those two, as he can hack technology and machines. With both of these being machines, he could even hack Vox, as it has been done before, like when Baxter was able to hack into Vox's systems and mute him. Now, sure, Vox can hack technology as well, but Hacker doesn't really use much technology and relies on his powers more often than not. The only real technology Hacker is shown using are those flying vehicles, and when the box tech could amplify his base form stats, but these are machines Hacker has shown to use in his base form, but now with his powers he rarely uses them, as his powers can already do what his previous machines can do. And even if Hacker didn't try to hack into the Might of Lilith, Vox's best win con a laser from it wouldn't even be a guaranteed kill, as it scales to universal, while Hacker can scale into this high universal ranges of power and can reach multiversal due to scaling to King Orange. Plus, the Might of Lilith being universal is also very shaky, as yes, it was powered by Lucifer, one of the elder angels that expanded the universe. It took 6 of them to do so, when taking the energy of how much it takes to create a universe and divide it by 6, it would only come out to multi-galaxy level, putting the Might of Lilith at multi-galaxy level. But even if we did say the Might of Lilith was universal, I already established Hacker can scale to King Orange, who is multiversal, by destroying Minecraft's cosmology. Plus, the odds of the Might of Lilith even hitting Hacker is low due to Hacker having infinite speed, while the Might of Lilith beams are only FTL. Now, could Hacker even bypass Vox's immortality, as he can only be permanently killed by angelic weapons, or else he will just keep regenerating and coming back to life if he were to die from regular weapons? And the answer is yes, with the Might of Lilith, which shoots literal angelic light beams. As I already said, Hacker could just use the Might of Lilith to turn against Vox, or Vox would mostly likely just spam the weapon till it eventually overheats and explodes, killing him. And a way Hacker would even find out about Vox's weakness is just by scanning him and finding out about it that way. And since Hacker can just conjure weapons, he could also potentially just conjure an angelic weapon, permanently killing Vox that way. So overall, Hacker takes the final points in abilities. So overall, despite Vox being a pretty tough opponent for Hacker, his stats and abilities were just too much for Vox to handle. The winner is Hacker.